You won't believe the final one. I just got back from a 16-day Griswold family vacation across the UK.
Hey, look, kids, there's Big Ben and there's Parliament.
As a first-time visitor from the US, let me share a few things that stood out to me as different from the US. Some are funny, some are just plain bizarre. You will not believe the last one. You gotta stick around to the end. Let's start in the restaurants. Number 1. I thought the whole peanut allergy and gluten-free thing was getting a little carried away in the States, but in the UK, they are Nazis about it. I mean, be prepared to be interrogated every time you order whether or not you have allergies. And I'm not kidding. When we requested a to-go box at one restaurant, the waiter brought a freaking legal release form for me to sign in case we got sick from leaving our leftovers out too long. I am not kidding you. Good Lord, they are crazy. Number 2, for fast food or to-go orders, or as they say there, takeaway, they don't have any plastic utensils. Everything is wood. I don't know about you, but the taste and feel of a popsicle stick just gives me the willies. So every bite of food was like, I was just like raking a popsicle stick in my mouth. It was disgusting. And all straws are made from paper, every single one of them. So if you're going to Great Britain, be prepared for everything that tastes like a popsicle stick and to get a mouthful of paper pulp if you don't drink fast enough. Number 3, no iced tea. That's right, my wife's favorite drink was nowhere to be found.
We don't really care for hot tea. You got any ice?
Hot tea? Yes. Cold tea? No. Number 4, Mexican food. My favorite. Okay, I know American Mexican food isn't truly authentic Mexican food, but it's getting close and at least seems to be served in proper context. But throughout the UK, restaurants struggled to know how to or what to do with Mexican. They had no clue. Here's an example. We ordered this antipasti dish that features some selected cured meats and breads and olives with dipping sauces. It came with olive oil, makes sense, and a dish of gloppy jarred salsa for bread? And then we stopped at a McDonald's just to see how it compares to home. They had these cheese sticks on the menu, so I ordered some. Instead of marinara, they served a side of salsa for cheese sticks? And it had a strange smoky tomato paste quality that was really gross. I mean, just really weird. We even tried Chipotle in London and thought for sure that would be good. We thought wrong. The beans were overcooked and gloppy, the tomato salsa was translucent and watery, and the tortillas were dry and crumbly. I mean, it was just gross. I would seriously hate Mexican food if all I knew was what the UK restaurants said was Mexican food. Number 5. All right, next, Marmite. Okay, I did a separate video taste test on this, and I'll link that at the end of this video, but just imagine collecting earwax in a bucket and then smearing it on toast for breakfast. And everyone acting like it's perfectly normal and tasty. That's Marmite for you. Yikes. Moving on. 6. When I asked a college girl from California who was studying in London what the biggest surprise to her was, she said without hesitation, the English drink a lot. Let me give you another example. We were in London for 2 days for business. The last day was a team building day, and so naturally, some fun activities were expected. The day started with a breakfast at the office that featured champagne. Okay, alcohol number 1. After lunch, darts and drinks for 2 hours. The group just drank for the next hour and a half. This was the warm-up before walking to a pub for another 2 hours of drinking. And this was to whet the appetite before walking to dinner, which featured an open bar. After many drinks, late into the night, a lot of folks finished the night at a local pub. Wow. 7. And speaking of drinking, most drinking water in the UK is sparkling, like the rest of Europe. If you want non-sparkling, you have to ask for still water. Sparkling water is becoming more popular in the US, but if you're not familiar with it, it's pretty amazing how carbonation alone gives it so much flavor. It actually tastes like non-sugary Sprite or 7-Up. I really like it. 8. Alright, we've talked about food, so now let's move on to the restrooms. But don't call them that or no one will know what you're talking about. Call it the toilet or the WC. For guys, none of the urinals give a flush of water at the end. They're all those waterless or low water use kind, which means they all stink to high heaven like rotten piss. And in keeping with this eco-friendly theme that we've seen so far with the plastic silverware and the straws and the no water in the urinals, takes us to the next item. 9. There is not one bloody paper towel to be found in a bathroom in the whole of Britannia. Seriously. Mediocre hand dryers are the best you can hope for. I usually opted for wiping my hands on my pants, giving myself the whoops I pissed my pants look. Number 10. And the faucets in a number of the hotel rooms I stayed in had 2 spigots instead of 1. One for hot and one for cold. I don't know how the guy who designed this didn't foresee the problem that immediately arises from this, but how are you supposed to wash your hands? I had turned on the hot and I had turned on the cold, and then I scalded one hand and I froze the other. What I ended up doing was like getting a paw full of cold water and then like topping it off with the hot water for a kind of lame, lukewarm wash. It was really weird. I don't understand it. You gotta stick around to the end. Number 11. Maybe you've heard, mind the gap. Mind the gap. Mind the gap. It's the warning in the London Underground to be aware of the gap between the train and the platform. But it gets quite comical how they tell you to mind everything. Mind the gap. Mind the stairs. Mind the door. Mind the step. Mind your head. Mind the baby, Mr. Bean. I seriously drove my daughter nuts by constantly reminding her to mind her step or the door or whatever. It's pretty obnoxious. I mean, I was pretty obnoxious. Number 12. Okay, everything so far has been kind of inconsequential quirks. They stood out to me as odd but didn't really affect me. This next one is different and actually put a hamper on part of our trip. The business hours are ridiculously short. Nothing, and I mean nothing, opens until 10 a.m. and everything closes by 5 or 6, if you're lucky. I'm talking about prime tourist attractions and gift shops. The London Eye, the British Museum, the National Gallery, Westminster Abbey, the London Dungeon, Tower of London, Windsor, Stonehenge, and every bloody castle you could find across the island. Even restaurants close pretty early by US standards. I do kind of admire the slower way of life as forces, but as a tourist who is trying to maximize what you can see, it's unfortunate. Number 13. How about something everyone from the US would think of when you say, what's weird in the UK? Driving. Driving in the UK definitely warranted its own video. So, for numbers 13 through 16, check out the video linked at the end of this one. Number 17. All right, now for gas stations. They are few and far between. Same thing with fast food. I mean, driving across the whole of England, I think I saw 2 McDonald's. And gas stations aren't at every exit like in the US. If you're getting low and you see a gas station, you better stop. And at the gas station, or petrol station as they like to say, you'll find things a bit different. Even though our friends in the UK use imperial measurements like the US, inch, foot, mile, they measure gas in liters. And none of the gas pumps have latching handles like in the States. You actually have to squeeze the bloody thing the whole time. And if you want to clean your windows, don't look for a squeegee with a cleaning pad on one side. No, in the UK, they only give you a sponge and a plastic glove. That's pretty weird. Thanks to my wife for cleaning off the massive bird crap on our car with the sponge. Number 18. All right, the one you've all been waiting for. Naked TV shows. That's right. After 9 p.m., nudity is allowed on regular TV channels. I'm sure all the teenage boys watching this want to move to England right now. No, wait, they have cell phones nowadays. There are all kinds of crazy shows like The Naked Truth, where young people share their perspectives on life while naked. Or Naked Attraction, where a contestant eliminates possible dates by seeing other contestants naked bit by bit, or is it butt by butt, and then choosing their favorite body part and narrowing it down. Other show titles include Embarrassing Bodies, The Naked Office, How to Look Good Naked, Sexy Tats, Naked, Dawn Gets Naked, Sex Tape, Miss Naked Beauty, Naked and Invisible, The Sex Clinic, Naked Beach, and Naked Calendars. Yeah, so if you're kicking back in the hotel room at the end of a day and you want to watch some telly with your kids and your wife, you better be fast with the old channel changer, because you're gonna stumble across some naked people on the TV. All right, to sum up, I absolutely had a blast in the UK. I loved seeing everything. My favorite spots were London and York. I really loved the people over there. They were all really friendly. I've got good friends over in the UK. So even though I was pointing out some oddities with the UK, I gotta say, as a whole, I love the place. So I encourage you to go check it out and leave in the comments below. Tell me what you have found strange in the UK if you've ever visited. And if you got any questions for me, let me know. And I will see you next time, guys. Thanks. Cheers.
Well done. Very good.